Hello, it's Nikki and welcome back to a brand new week. This is another four-parter and I'm going to be talking about it across the different pillars that I share. So goal setting, money, visibility and your future self. And this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while because I hate talking about it. And it's such a potent conversation that is surrounding many of us. And I am not very good when essentially there's a problem or people keep talking about it and everyone's going round and round in circles. I'm always looking for that solution. I'm always looking for that practical tool that I can try on, experiment with, have a go with, so I can get things moving. And here today, you are going to find, or rather over the next 4 days, I'm going to give you 20 tools to play around with, to get to know this and move forward and find a way. And this is my sweet spot. This is my jam. If you are looking at making some mega moves either this year or next year, do get in touch because I'm opening up my books to do more face-to-face sessions. Oh, the light has come out just to make that point. So yes, send me a message, have a look at my work with me page and we can go from there. Before we begin, I need to talk about the practicalities of imposter syndrome. This is a phrase that has woven itself into female, especially, entrepreneurship. And it's so clickbaity. It's the thing that so many, especially male hosts, want to ask about. And I often think it's used subconsciously, perhaps, to keep us small, to keep us in self-doubt, to keep us in uncertainty. Should I do this? Is it okay to do this? And quite frankly, so many of us have got enough of those things in our head. We don't need those outside voices going, are you sure though? Are you sure? So I want you to see this in a very practical way, almost like you're identifying it if it comes to light and you're looking for a solution. We're not just sitting in the moment of like, yes, I have imposter syndrome, full stop. We need to look at how we move with it. And also we're human beings, you know, many of us are not going to go through this journey of life and business going, wow, I've got everything figured out. Everything feels fantastic. I just know what I'm doing. Every decision I make is incredible. We're not like that. We will have that safety mechanism in our mind as well that is just checking in every step of the way. I also want to remind you that imposter syndrome is a relatively new phrase in the conversation. And I want you to go back to the basics of what this means to you. So, and how it shows up. So I would never, when I was 20, for example, and I was at drama school and we were going into that place of meeting, you know, prolific professionals, say, guys, I just wanted to let you know I'm experiencing imposter syndrome here. In fact, what I would end up doing is maybe overcompensating or playing small or being so in awe of somebody that I wasn't actually showing my best version. And so I want you to get to know how this imposter syndrome shows up. How do you identify it? When do you know that you're in that place? Understanding your triggers, for example, understanding the behaviors in which follow, and really make a decision to move through it. With the confidence that a parent might have when they know that their child is just hungry and tired. They're hungry and tired, right? We need a snack, we need to sit down, we need just to take a pause, we need a conversation, we need a hug. It's that kind of cause and effect reaction that we want with imposter syndrome if and when it shows up. So let's talk about how we deal with it in terms of goal setting. Now, I really experienced a lot of feedback from being very little. I would say 4 or 5, because I was that child. And yes, that might have been irritating as well. I get that. But I didn't have any of that filter at that stage, because I was just so excited and I loved a plan and I was in that flow of doing it. I didn't have that societal thing of like, well, maybe I should not say that, or maybe I don't want to be too much. I don't want to be doing that. And so from a very young age, adults would tell me what they thought of my plans, like, oh, but you can't do that, or it's very competitive, or you don't want to go to London. London's a big scary city. You want to stay here. And it was really interesting, unraveling all of that, especially as I've got older, because many of those limiting beliefs that I've had over the years, I mean, I've got a whole lot that are attributed to me, of course, but lots of those stories that I was telling myself actually aren't true. They were given to me and they were sort of piled on top of me, like for many of us. And so I've really enjoyed that removal stage. So the first thing I want to say is, whatever you want to do, I believe, or whatever you're drawn to, I feel like it comes within us. Whenever people talk about something, there is sometimes a conversation of it ticks all of the boxes. It's a practical decision. It makes sense on paper. However, what about all of those things where you can't put your finger on it? It just feels so connected, or you meet somebody and you feel like you've known them your whole life. I remember when I met Matt, we went through series of conversations like, but where did you go to school? Do you know that person? Where did you train? Like all of these things, because he felt so familiar to me. It honestly felt like, this sounds really weird when you're talking about your partner, but like he felt like family to me. He felt really like I just knew that he was going to be in my life. I don't know why, but that's the thing. So when we are thinking about our goals and our next chapters and where we're going, I want you to really lean into the fact when it feels really good, because the opposite is also true. There are so many things that I will have a very sensory reaction of like, no, that's not the one. Oh, that doesn't feel good. I don't like that taste. The opposite is true. And so even when and there's not many foods that I don't like, but I'm trying to think of something that I'm not a fan of. I can't think of what it is now, but that thing where you put it in your mouth and you just, everything in you goes, no, your body does not want it. I'm not going, well, maybe it's because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, it's just not a fit. So if we're going to have that reaction, we have to trust the things that are meant for you. And one of the things that I've realized over the years is I've noticed that so many things are not. So, and there are millions of things that I do not want to do. So the things that feel really good, I'm going to equally trust that as well. Number 2, many things can be in conversation and occurring at the same time. So something can feel great and hard, exciting and frustrating, invigorating and impatient. And what we find often, and this is the way that imposter syndrome might show up, is as soon as we hit an obstacle or a difficult thing, some voice in our head clicks in and goes, well, maybe this is not meant for me. It shouldn't be this difficult. And what I found, especially over the last year, is in order to go to the places that I need to and want to go to, I've done a lot of decluttering. And that was what last year was for me, really removing old thoughts and beliefs and really seeing what my obstacles were, where my gaps were, and getting in the groove of them, and actually having that bigger picture version of like, I know where I'm going. I know I'm supposed to. I had to really keep that in mind, because at the time when I was in that place and space of like, whoa, why is this? I'm really going through it here. I just had to keep connecting with that picture so I could remove all of the things. Number 3, I've touched on this slightly, but other people don't have your perspective. They don't see what you see because they haven't seen it. And this is a very sort of, a typical story. But when and I would never be so arrogant to assume that this is always going to be the way, but me and my 2 children and my dad were in the local Asda near my dad. And I don't know, I was probably buying the kids' pajamas. Dad was probably getting a few bits and bobs, and the kids were buying a magazine. And we bumped into a woman who was just like, I can't believe and I hadn't seen this woman for a year. I can't believe you're bringing kids up in London. I can't believe you live in London. Like, I don't get that. And I just thought, not only have I not seen you for a really long time, and you met me at a certain point in my life where I was not this, well, I was 42 at the time, but now 43-year-old woman. I just thought, oh, you haven't lived here for 25 years. You don't know about it. And yet she was having such a strong opinion. And this is what can happen sometimes. We can let these other voices really take hold and sit at the table when actually they haven't seen what you've seen. And this is the beautiful thing, especially with the internet, is that we've had this peek into what is possible. So really lean into that. Number 4, find the evidence. I made a video a little while ago that sometimes that one person who believes in you is you. And you don't know why, you don't have all the answers, you might not even have the next step, and it might all feel a lot. And so go and find the evidence. You might have it in other points of your life where you've really faced adversity and you've found a way through, or you might need to go and seek out random strangers on the internet who have done what you want to do. Find the evidence, it is there. And without sounding disrespectful, it is unlikely that you are doing something so radical that there's nothing that you can lean on. So go out and find them. They are all there. Number 5, when you are working towards your big dream, you're going to have all those thoughts and feelings. But I want you to notice every mega move. And that is not necessarily the big milestones, the jazzy, oh my God, I'm delighted to say on Instagram moments. That might be well played, pal. You said no in that conversation. And before, you might have said yes, or you challenged, or you offered a different perspective, or you walked away, or you used that fuel that usually would have made you so cross and angry to go and do something positive. We really have to back ourselves here. Every single minute of the day, what's the mega move? I did that. I'm moving forward. This is happening. That will knock down the imposter syndrome every single time, because your imposter syndrome will try and argue with you, but it can't argue with momentum. It can't argue with results. And sometimes those results are tiny, tiny little things. So we have to celebrate them. We have to notice them, and we have to do it. If you're inspired, if you're fired up, please subscribe and come back tomorrow for part 2. Do follow along on Substack, on my YouTube channel, across socials. And if you want to book in a chat with me talking about where you're going next, I would love to have that chat. And look forward to catching up then. See you tomorrow for part 2.